What up, y'all? Good morning. Good afternoon. It's a little late. Woke up a little late today, but excuse me. I just finished up listening to an IG Live with Nicole Pryor and Steve Rohr, and so insightful. Steve Rohr, he's a publicist, and Nicole Pryor is the owner of talent agency. So very, they shared a lot of good information. One of the big things that Steve talked about in there was kind of with actors, what's your plan when all this is done? How are you preparing for when this is all going to be over? And that was one of the big things that I talked about, because this is going to come, this whole situation is going to come to an end. So what are you going to do? What's the first thing you're going to be doing in order to take action? So that was a really, really good question that he asked at the end of the IG Live, and something for me to think about for sure. I've been thinking about it already, but maybe think more towards making exact concrete plans of things that I can actually do, other than continuing to send more submissions and stuff like that. So what are some other action points that I could do when all this ends? So that was really dope. Another thing that he talked about that he was really real with, that was kind of hard to hear, was about how to carry yourself on social media, since he's a publicist, especially since you're, a lot of young actors and stuff like that. They want to, all of us are humans first, and we want to say how we feel about things. But if we choose to go down the acting profession, we have to be a little bit more neutral about how we express ourselves, at least in the beginning, and he was talking about how people want to compare themselves to Beyonce or Taylor Swift and things like that, but Beyonce is making political stances, or Taylor Swift is making political stances, Selena Gomez is making religious stances, and people want to compare themselves to that. But as young actors, we can't really do that, because we can't afford to lose a following, so that was a tough thing to hear, for sure, but it was very honest and very real, because it makes sense. You want to become, in the beginning, you want to be the most marketable person, and that's how you can increase your fandom, increase the amount of people who would be willing to follow up with you and see your work. So that was a hard thing to listen to, because I do like voicing out my opinions, but it does matter. And I know I've I feel like I have talked about a lot of these things, COVID and religion and politics, but I feel like I do my best to state them not towards siding on things, but more of just bringing perspective. So that's a really iffy line to tread. So navigating through that is going to be interesting. And then they also said on your Instagrams and social medias, try not to align yourself with anything, and be mainly your personality. So you need to just do your best to share as much positive energy as possible, so that people will be more attracted to you, which is all real advice, and I feel like I do try my best to spread positive energy and stuff. So yeah, he said that by doing certain things on social media and to the public, it can hurt your chances, especially one of the other things he talked about was talking about other projects, TV shows or film, and if you talk badly about something on in public, like, and you end up being in a casting room with like a producer that worked on that project, or a casting director that worked on that project, you know, or a writer that worked on that project, you know, and then they look up your social media and they figure out these things about you that you're saying about their projects. They're gonna be like, why should we hire this person, you know, if they don't like our work? It might be, you know, it's a very sensible thing to think about, because these are their projects that they worked on, you know. So it is something to think about for sure. I don't think I've talked badly about anything here. I feel like for most of the projects, I usually have good things to say about them. Like if there's anything bad, usually it might be a point of confusion in terms of my own observation and my own thinking. I'm never like trashing anything, I think. But you know, it's yeah, it's been very interesting to think about. So that's a lot that I'm going to have to think about and digest, and you know, figure out my own strategies for working towards my goals. So, but it was very insightful, and I really appreciate it. One of the reasons why I wanted to listen to this one is because it's the first publicist IG Live, that I've seen, and I wanted to hear that perspective, because I feel like I've seen a lot from like talent agents, talent managers, acting coaches, actors, directors, producers, writers. You know, I feel like I've seen a lot from casting directors and seen a lot from those types of people, but I've never seen one from a publicist. So I wanted to check that out, because there are a lot of other ones. I feel like a lot of these IG Lives go on at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's a tough thing to choose which one I want to listen to and watch. And I wanted to listen to this one specifically because it was a publicist, and I haven't heard that perspective yet. And it definitely brought a new light into my brain of becoming more marketable. So yeah, it's a lot to think about. Cool. But basically just gonna work from home today. I need to do some writing. There's a submission due on Friday for ABC, and I want to submit to that. So I need to write some scenes. I think 3 scenes, 6 pages at most for each. So it's a lot of writing that I have to do. But yeah, I wanna try and do that. So cool. All right, y'all. Awesome. Talk to you later. Peace. Yo, one of the other things too that that Nicole Pryor and Steve Rohr talked about during their IG Live, which I thought was like really, really good to hear and very true to hear, and it's something that like all artists I think should know. I've talked about this a little bit in my previous vlogs, but basically like when it comes to fields like entertainment and art, you know, it's very broad. You know, it leaves a lot of room for variety, you know, but because of the room for variety, there's a lot of different pathways to reach your goal of working in this field. And one of the things that they talked about, both of them don't have the most traditional raisings when it comes to how they develop their careers. Nicole Pryor, for example, she started off as an actress, you know, but now she's an owner of a talent agency, and she's a successful talent agent. And how she got to that point, though, was that, you know, she was pursuing acting, but she wanted to increase opportunities for herself and her friends, you know. So she started to just like slowly become an agent for herself and for her friends, you know. And before she knew it, she started running her own business, and even though it was a little difficult in the beginning, she started getting like good clientele and everything like that, and eventually she became an owner of the talent agency. And it's not the most traditional path, but it started off from trying to create opportunity for herself, you know. With Steve Rohr, how he became a publicist was actually, he wanted to work in entertainment, but he didn't know what he wanted to do. But he knew he wanted to work in it, right? So he just tried to find any opportunity that he could to get in the door. So he found a way to get himself an internship, and then from an internship, he was able to work in the editing room and become a production assistant. He eventually became a producer, and after becoming a producer, someone asked him to be their publicist for their wife or for their ex-wife, and from there, literally within a week of becoming a publicist for that person's ex-wife, he gained 5 other clients, and then he ended up just running his own publicist business, and he loved it. So you never know where life is going to take you, but if you know the goal that you want to strive towards, and where you want to end up, don't be afraid to take opportunities coming from different places, as long as they all lead towards your goal, because you need to be more creative if you want to find your way to your dreams, right? We all want to think that we can do it in a straightforward path, like for me, for example, this is something that my mom always questions me about, especially in the beginning, when I started writing, for example, right? And I told my family about my writing, that I was interested in, and my mom was like, so what do you want to be? You want to be an actor or you want to be a writer, and I want to be an actor, but I enjoy writing as well, and I see writing as another opportunity to get my foot in the door. But there also comes when it turns to your own priorities, you do need to prioritize what steps you want to take, but I do see it as an opportunity to get your foot in the door. So even when it comes to creating your own original content and things of that nature, like creating your own web series or something like that, those are things that other people in the business have recommended, because it's another way to get yourself in the door, so there are several different ways to get in. You just need to find which way works for you, and that's the nice thing about having such a broad field, because with a broad field comes many opportunities. You just need to be more accepting and open-minded of taking different opportunities when they come to your door, instead of banging at a closed door. This is something that Steve Rohr said, when it comes to open doors and closed doors, they could be the biggest blessings in your life, because with a closed door, that door is shut. You know that from there you need to find a route to go around it. Find a different route, find a different door. And the thing is about open doors, even if it's not the door that you want, it's an open door. And you should take a risk and go for it if it leads towards your goals and your dreams. Even if it's not the traditional route that you expect it to take, it is a route. So why not go down that route when it's open to you, rather than pounding at this closed door that may never open. So that was a tough thing to hear, but it's very real as well. So if you're an actor, this is an example I gave. If you're an actor and you're working, you want to get on a show, but instead of acting, they ask you to write in it, right? To write for it. Say yes. Even if you're not comfortable with yourself as a writer, say yes. Because it's still a way into the show, and you see it with other people too. For example, one of my biggest inspirations is Donald Glover, and he was a writer on 30 Rock, right? He was a writer on 30 Rock, and you see him in the background in a couple episodes and stuff like that, but he was a writer and a stand-up, and he transitioned into being on screen and acting with shows like Community, and from there he was able to find other opportunities to direct and to do music, so he's like a renaissance man. But it all started, maybe his dream was to become an actor, but it started from writing, so so that was a really it's a tough thing to hear, but it's something that's necessary to open your mind to different opportunities, because that's something that you need to be successful in this business. I feel, in my opinion, you need to be able to be flexible and be adaptable to different opportunities. So, cool. Because the thing about entertainment and art is that it's very inconsistent, you know? So you need to find a way to make it more consistent, you know? And if opportunities are coming through your door, you know, or if opportunities are coming to your doorstep in a different way than you planned, take them, you know, because it's your way in. So, cool. All right, that's it. All right, I'm done talking about this because I could talk about this for hours. So, yeah. All right, peace, y'all. Yo, just got sides for my audition class on Friday, so I'm gonna work on that later today. Yeah, just wanted to say that. Another thing. So I thought a little bit about a rough plan that I have for when COVID ends. And one of the things that I do want to do is I'm finishing up with Improv 3 right now, or I'm taking Improv 3 right now, as I said in the previous vlog, and this is the step right before auditioning for the conservatory. So I want to audition for the conservatory after I finish Improv 3, and hopefully, you know, COVID will be over when that happens. And after, you know, if I get into the conservatory, from there I'd like to audition to be part of one of the weekly shows at Second City so that I can perform actively, you know, and also expose myself professionally as an actor. So that's one of the things I want to do. And then another thing that I'd like to do is to spend more time when all this ends working on acting opportunities. So like spending 2 hours looking for gigs to submit to, and then 1 hour working on original content at least when all of this ends. Instead of working insane amounts of like overtime when what up, JB? Nice. Hey. Yeah, instead of working insane amounts of overtime with like Uber and stuff like that, because like when I was driving a lot of hours before, so I want to reduce that to a point where I'm just like comfortable enough rather than like, you know, spending a lot of extra time so that I can have all this extra money so I can go on like trips and vacations and stuff like that. So I think I'd rather spend more time working on acting opportunities and making that become more of the full-time gig rather than focusing on vacations. So yeah, cool. I think that's like a rough draft of my plan for when COVID ends. So yeah, all right, peace. Yo, what's good, y'all? So finished up with the first script. I got 2 more scripts to write. The first script I actually wrote was it's kind of like a little abridged version of a script that I wrote before for a show that I want to produce and do. So I took a scene from there and like abridged it a little bit to make it more adaptable for on stage. I like it though. It's a little different than the original one. There are some different concepts there, just to make it more adaptable. And I cut a lot of the dialogue, but I like it. I'm working on my second script right now, so yeah, working on the second script right now. So yeah, these scripts can only be 6 pages long, so it's not too bad. It takes me a few hours to write. So I will say these 2 scripts are very dramatic. I think the third script I want to be a little bit lighter, but these 2 scripts are very dramatic, and they're just the second one is like an idea that came to my head. Excuse me, is an idea that came to my head as I was writing the first one. So the second one, both of them are a little bit based off of like my own experiences. The first one though is like not actively my own experience. It was like kind of something that I heard in the bathroom. But the second one comes from like a straight experience, but I edited some things from like the actual experience. So it's not like a complete representation of like what happened in my own life, but it it's a little different. It's a little different. So just to make it a little bit more dramatic, but still trying to keep in the realm of like realistic and plausible. So yeah. Cool. All right, I'm going to finish up with this and yeah, keep working. So peace. Yo, what's good, yo? Just finished the second script. Dope. Yeah, just finished the second script. So I like it too. I think it's good. I think it's, even though it's like in a similar atmosphere as the first one, it's very different. Yeah, both of them are kind of like about similar subjects, but they're very different in the way that they're handled. So they're still, at first, like I was kind of hesitant on writing the second one because I felt like it was too similar to the first one. But reading it back, the way that it's handled and the circumstances that caused the situation are completely different. So it's not like a carbon copy of the first one. It's not a copy at all. It's like, it feels like a completely different tone than the first one, even though they're the same situation, which is very weird. I honestly didn't think that they would have I didn't think that they would be that different in terms of their tone. But it is. It's very, very different. So yeah, the second one is a lot more dramatic for sure. I think, in my opinion, it's a lot more dramatic. Yeah, and in both of them, there's definitely like shifts in emotion. It's not just like build. It's like, I mean, there is a build for sure, but it's like yeah, it's like a different sense of build. I'd say like the first one, it's like a little bit more sad, you know? It starts off like angry and turns more into sadness, with like a sense of happiness in the middle. And then the second script that I wrote, it seems more of like, it starts off happy, then it goes to a sense of numbness and then anger, you know? So it's very, very different, even though they're pretty much about the same thing. Also, like the blame is on different characters or different genders of the characters, so I think that also creates a different perspective. So yeah, even though the same gender is the one that causes the main, what people, I feel like what people would assume is the main problem, the thing is, like, the underlying reason in the first one for why that person did what they did is completely different for the second one. Like, the first one was more like that person did what they did because of a problem with the relationship, in terms of like how she was being treated in the relationship from the other person, and it was a very hard relationship on her. Whereas the other one, in the second script, it's more of like coming from like a sense of discomfort with yourself and a sense of lack of self-confidence, and that's why that person did what they did. So it's interesting. Yeah, I like it though. I like it. Yeah. The third script I think is going to be different though. I haven't come up with an idea yet for the third script. I think I'm going to take a break from writing right now, and then maybe either come back to it tonight or come back to it tomorrow. Instead, I'm just going to do other stuff. I have sides that I need to memorize by Friday, so I'll probably start working on that. Cool. All right. That's about it. So, awesome. I'm going to eat some dinner. Peace. What up, y'all? Okay, I'm gonna end my night. Today was a pretty productive day. Did a lot of writing, which is awesome. So that was good. Got 2 scripts done, 1 more to go. So yeah, I'll finish the last one tomorrow. But tomorrow I'm basically just gonna work my regular Uber job and stuff like that. And then I also need to learn the rest of my my sides for tomorrow. I started working on the sides a little bit, but yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, but yeah, basically today all I did was just write. That's it. Just write, and then yeah, that's about it. Literally just wrote, and then studied my sides a little bit. And then I watched some acting, like IG lives and stuff like that. Yeah. And JV and I watched some more Terrace House. Really good show. Man, we get into some heated conversations afterwards about like what's going on. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting topics to talk about. I didn't work out tonight, but tomorrow I'm gonna start again. I think I'm gonna start with the first thing in the morning. I think that's how I want to do it from now on. I want to work out first thing in the morning. Thinking about it now, like going into post quarantine life, just thinking about that. I think if I do it in the morning, there's no excuses later on in the evening, you know, of like being tired and stuff like that, or like going out with friends, or like drinking or whatever, you know, or partying. Like, if I do it in the morning, then there's no excuse at all for why I didn't work out. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it in the morning instead. So yeah. All right, y'all. Oh yeah, I'm tired. Yeah. Cool. That's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. Good night. Peace.